I'm a little late today. When did I say 15 minutes? Was that 15 minutes? Eh. It's more like 25, 24. Oops. Man. Yeah. This is what we're looking at right now is our GFS ensemble. For the next 2 weeks, European ensemble. For the next 2 weeks, European AI ensemble. For the next 2 weeks, Canadian ensemble. For the next 2 weeks. Good morning, Allie. Snow in Boise. Probably some snow in Boise coming up here. All right, guys, we're going to get started in a second. Let me just, God, my video took some time this morning, guys. Okay? It took some time this morning. I'm trying to get more detailed. I'm trying to get better production. Man, it takes time. It's a lot of time every morning. It's 2 to 3 hours every morning. Can I link my live to X and have people come and jump over? Can you do that? All right, guys, we will get started here in a second. I promise. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Oh, I can do that. Oh. Yeah, do you think I don't know how social media works? All right. There we go. Post. Hey, guys. Good morning. Good morning, Kev. Good morning, Leo. Good morning, Will. How Philly looking like this winter in terms of snow, temperature, and everything? I think Philly's going to be average to slightly below average, and I think you're going to get above average snow this winter. There's tons of reasons I can go into why, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Good morning, Brandon. Keep the cold away from the Gulf Coast. I'll do my best. Vincent. Kev said I like the music. Thanks. There's only like 50 songs on this playlist, though, and I play it every stream, so I need to get this up to like 100 so you don't hear the same music too frequently. You know, you got to change it up. Marissa, what's going on? It's in my to-do list. Good morning, Mark. What's going on, guys? Okay, we're going to start about, we'll say 2 minutes. 120 seconds, we'll get started. Let a little bit more people get in live. We're going to get talking about the latest winter outlook. It's looking, I mean, the confidence is at about a 95% that first week of December, we get cold and snowy across the state. It's a very active cold and snowy pattern, but yeah, I'll show you. The stratospheric, SSW, Sudden Stratospheric Warming Event, is looking more bullish. It's actually amplified in the latest models, too, which is good if you like winter. It's bad if you hate the cold and you hate winter. I'll be honest with you. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to get started in 1 second. Let me do this. I just got to drop something off at the sink. And then we're going to get started. Got my coffee cup. I'm a mess over here. All right. Start at 1 second. Drop this off. get started. All right. I forgot my water. Heyo. All right. We got some people in the stream today. 27 on YouTube. That's a pretty good number for my YouTube. 122 on TikTok. All right. I'm back. Let's get that crap off my screen. Be gone. Be gone. All right. Anyways. How's everyone doing today? Here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to talk for just a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, and let you know what's changed. How cold does December and January look? Maybe we'll get into January, actually, now. How cold does it look? What's our pattern over the next 2 weeks? It's going to be hot before it gets cold. I can tell you that. Not really hot. It's going to be more average to slightly above average, but we're going to talk about all this. I'm going to go through all the new developments, and then I'm going to answer your questions. You know, kind of the normal thing here. Yeah, look at that, man. We got people. We got people over in the YouTube live stream. I love it. I love it. I was really on TikTok for a long time, just pushing TikTok, but I was like, I like the way I like them both. But YouTube set up nicely, especially for weather live streaming and stuff like that. You know, the vertical's a little tough. All right, here we go. Here's our ensembles. Our ensembles are bullish over the next 2 weeks up until December 2nd with snow. Right? Here is our Canadian ensemble. Here is our GFS ensemble. Look at that. Look at Missouri. Here is our European AI ensemble. They're all pretty bullish with snow. And you're like, well, why? There hasn't been that much snow. Except for some people over here who got a bunch. We're not talking about Northwest Indiana and you guys with the lake effect from that last weekend snowstorm. But let's just get right into it. Let's take a look at the latest GFS. Okay? I don't even know where to start. I feel like there's so much to talk about every single day. How's the volume, by the way? How's my voice volume? How's the music volume? Is it all right? At least you don't do Rumble. It's good. Okay. So what I want to start off with is quickly, because I want to go do this quickly so I can answer your questions. We're going to just look at our future radar. We'll look at the GFS first, because the GFS has all the way out through 2 weeks on the 06Z. Our polar jets diving into the northeast. The northeast is continuing to be barraged with rain and snow for the high elevations, but we have some strong storm systems moving into the west coast right now. If I were to zoom out a little bit, you can see this big low pressure system moving into the west. If you planned a Thanksgiving ski trip, you're crazy, because that's a gamble. Sometimes it can be dry. The Rockies are probably about to get a ton of snow over the next 10 days, maybe in the next 10 to 14 days leading up to Thanksgiving. So it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Unless this storm's a little delayed, it looks pretty good for the Rockies. Anyways, right now.
Warning, a new special marine warning has been issued.
All right. Here we go. Moisture is moving into the west right now. Lots of decent amount of snow for the Rockies. Cold rainfall for the low elevations. I can't speak, guys. Lots of snow for the Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada is going to be packing that snowpack early in the season, which is good because I think it's going to warm up later in winter. Or be above average. Now that storm system is going to transfer out to the east, and I think we've all seen this, but the precipitation that's expected through this region over the next 10 days is pretty crazy. That's going to get caught up in our subtropical jet. It's going to activate a little bit, and then Texas all the way up through the Midwest, through the Ohio Valley. You're going to see a lot of rainfall here. There's actually a decent amount of severe weather that's now being projected by CSU and the SPC, which we have to talk about today as well. But this is getting in towards, we're talking about next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Look at all that rainfall. And then into next weekend, that's transferring all up into the Midwest and then out into the Northeast. Okay? So middle of the week and then out towards the next weekend, that transfers up to the east. Pretty warm pattern here. And you're like, what the heck? Where's all the cold? We're out December 23rd. Our polar jet's sitting up here to the north, holding all that cold, all that potentially record-breaking cold that we could see this year in December. So now pushing into 24th, 25th, right? So now we're 8 to 10 days out. This is when things start to get interesting. This is when we start to develop a very strong negative EPO, a very strong negative WPO. This is the early writing for this. Start to see a trough diving down. This is going to absolutely pack the Rockies with snow if we see this play out like this, which most models see it playing out like this. And then getting into La La Land, getting into the 26th, 27th, we're talking about Thanksgiving, potentially a major severe weather outbreak according to the GFS right through here, Plains, portions of Dixie Alley, Southern Plains, and a huge blizzard for Nebraska and the Dakotas and possibly Minnesota. And then we get a big severe weather outbreak down in the southeast, right? The day or two after Thanksgiving. That's the GFS. But I don't care about all that storminess. What I do care about is when does it see this polar jet collapse? And that polar jet collapses November 29th, November 30th. This is when NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has this pattern set up for us. Right now, if you were to look at the current, if you were to look at the 6 to 10 day, this is what NOAA has right now for the next 6 to 10 days. This is what they have 3 to 4 weeks out. And that is because, simply, this collapse right here of our polar jet. We're starting to see that sudden stratospheric warming event, stratospheric polar vortex disruption, put a little pressure down on our tropospheric polar vortex, shoving this cold air to the south. This is when we could start seeing cold air from coast to coast. And if our WPO, our drunk-looking WPO, West Pacific Oscillation, does go as negative as it's projected, we're going to have an active storm. We're going to have an active winter storm track through here for maybe a week or two. So it's going to be pretty wild. But anyways, that's when the GFS sees it happening. When does the Euro see it happening? Around the same time. Here comes the collapse right there. Around the day before Thanksgiving, the day after. GFS also gives us an opportunity for a snowstorm through the plains, up through the upper Midwest and northern plains. The day before Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving. But what's important is this back here. Again, you get into the 29th and 30th. We're starting to see this polar jet collapse. Instead of this thing riding up here, which it will be over the next kind of week or so, we're starting to see it shift. It's shifting southward, and it's going to begin to push our ridge and our high pressure down to the southeast, our permanent ridge high pressure there for December, it looks like. Getting into the ensemble, good way to look. We can't see that. We can't see the kind of future reflectivity, but what we can see is something even better. Upper air wind. Let's look at our actual jet stream. 500 millibar jet stream. Push out to North America. Holy smokes. Look at that polar jet. Dive. Sinking Arctic air. Okay? Okay? This is where our polar jet is right now, by the way, folks. There it is. This is where the ensemble sees it, or the European AI sees it later. Okay? There you go. You basically have the stratospheric vortex up here. This is in the troposphere, but big sinking. There it is. Here it is now, way up to the north. Big signals here. All right, I'm going to get to questions in just a second, but I need to show you something pretty crazy. Yeah, I need to show you something pretty crazy. Yeah, we need to take that off. Wait, let me take that off. Okay, this is what I want to show you guys. Come on. Let's alt that down. Okay, can you guys see this? Let me actually scroll down a little bit so this is easier. Okay, you guys can see that. Guys, where to go? Where to go? It's somewhere down here. Does anyone understand what this negative of a WPO is screaming to us right now about the beginning of December? Marissa Mack, Betty, what is that? December Monroe. Appreciate you guys. I've never seen it go off the screen. Yeah, I have before, but it's not very often. My favorite weatherman. Tracy, what's going on? I appreciate that. Cold AF, Lane said. I agree. This means, if you were to say Grok translate, Grok would say cold AF. Yeah, but specifically for the United States and Europe, by the way. When the United States is cold from coast to coast, Europe tends to be cold because the way... Okay, let me go to a map to explain this. And then I'm going to get your questions, I promise. Our troughs and ridges tend to be certain distances, right? You get troughing, then you get ridging, then you get troughing, then you get ridging, then you get troughing. A lot of times, as you can see here, when the U.S. is in a trough, especially the eastern U.S., it just happens because of how our oscillations work or how our troughing and ridging patterns work, that a lot of times Europe is cold when the U.S. is cold. Because it's extremely rare to, like, we're not just gonna sit here and have a trough that's like this wide and then you have a ridge. You don't get troughing typically that's that amplified and wide. So you typically are gonna see some sort of pattern like this. So it's kind of cool. Like our weather a lot of times is correlated, especially if the central plains and east US is cold. A lot of times you're below average out in the United Kingdom, Germany, France, out here in Western Europe, you know, in Europe in general. So when I talk about cold in the States, you can kind of translate that if you're in Europe to probably pretty cold out in Europe. It just works like that a lot of the times. Anyways, what does this mean? This means a negative WPO. Okay. Negative EPO typically means a large ridge of high pressure wants to set up over Alaska. A positive PNA means a large ridge wants to set up over the western U.S. A negative WPO means major blocking wants to set up. Imagine you have a very negative EPO, so you have a big ridge of high pressure here, which wants to then push cold air down into the States. On top of that, you have a WPO. What does that mean? That means you have a high pressure blocking from the north. So, oh my gosh, come on. That means you have a high pressure blocking from the north. So this cold air dives in and it gets kind of stuck in here and your pattern begins to shoot snowstorms through the States. I'm not zoomed out enough, okay? So negative EPO, we're expected to have a very negative EPO. That brings cold air in. Your WPO puts blocking above and your negative NAO puts blocking out to the east. So now cold air is being thrown into the States. It can't go north, it can't go east. And your storm pattern sets up, especially if you have an active subtropical jet. That's what's happening here. We're expected to have a negative NAO or at least a neutral one, a very astronomically negative WPO and a very negative EPO to bring that cold air down into the States. That's the setup for early December. Oh, by the way, on top of that, almost forgot to mention, and I brought this up on my X, Climate Corner HQ. Didn't let me use Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Here's what I said yesterday on my X. Comparing the GFS 00Z versus 18Z runs from today, there's a clear uptick in the projected 10 millibar warming. We're talking about the stratospheric polar vortex here. This is the big polar vortex that freezes us. The 18Z run shows a stronger, broader warm anomaly and a more pronounced vortex displacement signal pushing towards North America. Here was our run in the beginning of the day. Here is our run at the end of the day. You see that pushing down into North America? You see how much broader this is? So that's an amplified polar vortex breakdown. Naturally, that raises the question, could this point towards an even colder trend than already projected for North America? So again, we have that on top of an more amplified sudden stratospheric warming event on top of this very negative WPO, negative EPO, and then potentially negative NAO. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. The beginning of December looks cold. In my video today, I talked about what was the exact timing I expect. I think it's going to be a day or two after Thanksgiving. I think maybe the 29th or 30th of November, things flip. We get cold from coast to coast, and we get 2 or 3 big snowstorms that start in the Rockies, that come down, they start in the Rockies, they amplify off a subtropical jet, and then they move up like this, or up like this. That's what I expect through the first 2 weeks of December. That's what I expect the setup will be. I expect the setup will allow for that. The biggest issue is I'm confident in the cold air. We really need some help from our subtropical jet. We really need some help from a storm system from the south because all that cold air can flood the United States. But if we don't get any moisture, nothing's going to happen. No snow's going to fall. I'm pretty confident we're going to get some of that moisture, though, especially with the temperatures in the water in the Gulf and the kind of warmer WPO waters, North Pacific waters that are going to help to amplify these storm systems and pull down a little bit more moisture. Anyways, all right, let's get into questions. What's going on, guys? Any good outlook for snow in central Mississippi this winter? Mississippi's going to be tough. I mean, it's at least in December, we're expecting some sort of ridging to kind of try to hold the southeast. So I'm not feeling overly confident for southeastern overtake of cold and snow for the southeast in particular in December. The second half of winter may be much kinder to you guys down there, though, getting into mid-January. Not that you couldn't get a freak snowstorm or push of cold air down to the southeast in December. With this type of wild pattern, it's possible. So it's just, I wouldn't say it favors it. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Is there a potential for it to snow in Ohio late December? I'd say there's potential for it to snow in Ohio and a big snowstorm in Ohio in 2 to 3 weeks. NTX, Kayla, I appreciate you. Emmanuel with the $5 super chat. You're awesome. Ready for winter. And here's your commitment as a science communicator. I appreciate you, Emmanuel. As always, I really, really appreciate you. Can we get some snow in Louisiana? You'll have the possibility. You'll have the possibility with La Niñas do weird stuff. La Niñas do weird stuff. They give you the chance for snow everywhere, just because they put a little bit more pressure on our tropospheric and stratospheric polar vortex. So they give you the opportunity for 1 or 2. You're more likely to see a break. You're more likely to see a polar vortex break, 1 or 2 in La Niñas. So. Again, I would say the consistency of potential snow is higher in an El Nino, but you could get a freak snowstorm in a La Nina, just like we did last year. It was an Enzo neutral, but it was tilted towards the La Nina, and we got a freak snowstorm down there in the Gulf. Eastern Tennessee on Thanksgiving. Eastern Tennessee is probably actually, in my opinion, going to be very warm on Thanksgiving. You're going to have, in the 48 to 72 hours that precede Thanksgiving, you're probably going to have a drastic drop in temperature. I see it as our really collapse of our tropospheric, of our polar jet's going to be sinking down like this on Thanksgiving, and you're probably going to have a big warm ridge right out ahead of it. So the days following Thanksgiving, you're probably going to see a drastic change in your weather conditions. It's going to really start to feel like winter. Pittsburgh snow anytime soon? I would say early December. You've got a pretty good signal for that. Gavin, what's going on? So you think Northeast Washington State will have cold and snowy winter? I think you're going to have a very cold and snowy December. I don't know so much about your winter after December. I think it's going to dry up in the Northwest, in my opinion. But I'm not saying that with like 90% confidence. I'm saying that with like 55% confidence. It's not very much. I wouldn't bet on that money line. So don't be discouraged if you like the snow. Will we get a lot of snow in December in Buffalo? I think so. I think lake effect is going to be cranking in December. Absolutely. Is there potential snow for South Texas by any chance? South Texas, again, it's going to be tough. But in a La Nina, you get freaks snow systems that do weird stuff like that, because you get more opportunities for stratospheric SPV breaks. I love ice fishing. When do you think Chicago will get some? Listen, the lakes are going to freeze early. If this pattern continues, the lakes are going to freeze early. Let's take a look at panels. Winter. Probabilities winter. Who does the GFS think? This is the latest from the GFS probability. And we'll look at the Euro. Probability of getting an inch or more of snow in the next 2 weeks. This will fluctuate, but just to give you an idea of what the pattern. Now, I promise you, most of this comes. Look, you push out. Look how funny this is. You push out to the 26th. There's nothing here, and then you just move forward like 6 more days, 5 or 6 more days. You see that? Because it sees that flip happening around November 28th, 29th. So that period between the 28th and December 2nd set up all the chance for snow in here. You see that? We're like, here's Thanksgiving. There's like no opportunity down there through the plains, Ohio Valley. You move forward just a few days. Suddenly, the GFS, the European, thinks, hey, we got to watch this region here because our tropospheric polar jet's collapsing. Is there going to be a lot of snow in Aurora, Illinois? I don't know where Aurora, Illinois is, but Illinois is projected to be below average this winter. Have some pretty decent rainfall, especially I'd say central to eastern Illinois. Although we're going to see some good clippers probably moving through northern Illinois as well this winter. Do you think the mountains of Denver, Colorado, specifically 2 hours west of Denver, could see snow for Thanksgiving? I think you guys are going to get tons of snow leading up into Thanksgiving. You guys are projected to get a lot of snowfall over the next couple, really 7 to 10 days. 10 to 14 days. You guys are expecting to get a lot of snowfall, especially around the 24th to the 26th. What do you think Thanksgiving is going to be like in Minneapolis? We're either going to be very hot with a snowstorm that could move in the day after Thanksgiving, or that if that pattern moves quick enough, we could actually be seeing a snowstorm on Thanksgiving. The GFS sees a big snowstorm trying to put snow down in Minneapolis on Thanksgiving, but it all depends on timing and the amplification of the trough and all that type of stuff. But it's definitely going to be, it's looking like a battleground zone of who's going to get snow in the plains or Midwest on Thanksgiving, what the timing of that's going to be. North Carolina for Thanksgiving, I expect it to be hot. You move forward 72 hours, 96 hours past Thanksgiving, you're probably going to see a drastic difference. It's probably going to feel like winter, and you're probably going to be looking out there saying, thinking you could get a snowstorm or two, because we're going to have a more active pattern. Like I said, the flip looks like it's going to be between November, in my opinion, November 29th, November 30th. Salt Lake City for Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, Salt Lake City, again, you're gonna have a ton of snow up in the mountains, I think. For low elevation, so I'm not not so sure about Salt Lake City. Let's take a look at what our Euro thinks here. Troughing wise, as we approach Thanksgiving, I mean, look at that. You've got cold air. Man, I mean, if the Euro's correct, you could actually maybe get a little bit of low elevation snow in Salt Lake City, right before, the day before, or on Thanksgiving. But the mountains look like they're going to get slammed around Utah. Thanksgiving looks cold right now for Utah. Below average temperatures. Yeah, I mean, you can see what the Euro does for Thanksgiving evening. The Euro for Thanksgiving evening thinks Minnesota's good. This region right here is basically what the Euro is saying here, is that this area is going to be well below average, and you'll have a chance for snow on the day before, on or right after Thanksgiving, just by the way this jet is collapsing, depending on where the moisture comes up here and how amplified this trough is. And this is kind of a little bit of a ridge down to the southeast that's trying to keep the heat, but then you move forward in time, and you're going to try to see this jet collapse to the south. Let me go to my, let's go to our temperature anomalies. You see here, this is what I'm talking about. There's Thanksgiving. This is exactly what I'm talking about. See all this cold air sinking in up here, and then you see this gradient. This heat. You always get a heat buildup out in front of a system like this. Now, moving forward, I don't believe that we're going to see this kind of continued ridge here, although it's possible. I did talk about in my video that the southeast or the east may end up having kind of a delay in this cold. You may end up having to wait until December 5th, December 6th to really see the cold air sink in. Maybe it's not December 1st, November 30th. But we'll see. You know, the GFS says, you know, I'm actually more tempted to believe the GFS. I usually believe the Euro more, but some cases I take the GFS. I'm more tempted to think the GFS could be correct here with that cold air coming in right after Thanksgiving into the southeast, and really just from coast to coast. But we'll see. Bad weather, Missouri at all this week. Yeah, we could have some sketchy weather ahead here. I mean, if we were to take a look, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, these are probably just gonna be showers. Wednesday, Thursday, this right here, we'll have to watch. Thursday into Friday, that's gonna try to be severe. I don't know if it will be, but it's gonna try to be. Let's look at our NAM 3K, how it plays this out. Not going to get close enough. Let's go to the GFS. See, right here, you're going to have a chance for severe weather Thursday, Friday. I don't think this is going to be much, but we'll see. Let me actually show you what CSU thinks. Colorado State University is pretty good at this stuff. I'm going to have to pull it up on my Discord. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. anyone else new join my Discord? Any new members? Okay, not today. All right, let's go to my severe. By the way, this is what my Discord looks like. And here you actually can't really even see it here. I'll show you. All right, I'll just show you. Okay, so CSU severe updates. I update this every single morning. So I update everything every single morning. Severe weather, hail, rainfall, snowfall, temperatures. Here's all our temperature outlooks and stuff for today. Drought, Enzo, earthquakes worldwide. Here, wildfires, hurricane, everything. It's all, everything's integrated. It's every single morning. If you want to join, link in the description of every single one of my YouTube videos and lives. All right, here's CSU. Here's CSU. Day 1, day 2. Here's day 2 threat. A little bit of a day 2 threat, it thinks. So this is saying Tuesday. This is Monday. Actually, Monday, it's giving you a little bit of a slight risk out there for hail through portions of Missouri, or all of Missouri. So interesting. But looking out ahead here, look at this. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Look at that. So it's thinking we're going to have a little bit of it's thinking over the next week. We could see a little bit of severe weather through the Central Plains up through portions of the Western Ohio Valley. It is. It is, in fact. I'm in Brown, yay. Oh my gosh. Illinois is big. What part of Illinois? Yeah. Will Mawa Aqua get 20% of... Wait, what? Where is that? Thank you for teaching me everything, Connor. I got to teach my coworkers about when it's going to be cold and how I am now known as the weatherman at work. Love that. I feel like a big ice storm also maybe for the South the first week of December. Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening as well. Sorry, I'm going back in the comments, guys. Is grass green? Why question? Aurora is about 35 miles west of Chicago. Anyone in my YouTube stream have any questions? I don't want to neglect either one of my streams. I'm ready for the cold in the in northeast Bama. You might get a little taste of it here in early December. Another little collapse there. What's happening? We're talking about the winter outlook here. How aggressive is our GEFS extended here? 35-day snowfall projection. I feel like that's not as aggressive as it was. Let me see. Let's look at our euro. Is our euro still very aggressive with this? Over the next, let's look at our euro progression here. Huh. Okay, 32 day. 32 day, there we go. This is where it thinks we could have snow up into Christmas. European Weekly. Snow in Minneapolis tomorrow. I know, listen, there's a chance, but even if we get it, we're going to have a little bit of a warm-up that's going to melt the snow right away. It really depends on exactly what time that moisture arrives into Minneapolis Metro tomorrow, because you want it to be early in the morning or late at night so that the surface is cooler, so we do get the potential for some accumulation. But yeah, there is a chance for a little bit of snow tomorrow, Minneapolis Metro. What do you think about the Baltimore area for nor'easters? I expect Baltimore to see above average snow this winter because of a nor'easter or two. Bryce said middle of Illinois. If you're asking about the winter, I think you'll have a pretty decent winter middle of Illinois in general. Chicago Thanksgiving forecast. You'll probably still be under that ridge. Again, I think the flip's going to happen right after Thanksgiving. The flip into a very cold, winter stormy type of pattern. So I think Chicago may be warm, have the chance for also for some rain showers on Thanksgiving as well. And then in the 24 to 48 hours after Thanksgiving, you'll probably see a major drop in temperatures and kind of pattern shift that sticks around through December for a good portion of it. What about North Dakota this week? What's going on up in North Dakota? What do you folk do up there? Here we go. Pushing into Monday. Warming up in North Dakota a little bit. Trying to stay dry. Maybe some sprinkles. You guys look pretty warm and pretty dry up there. I mean, not... I would say not super warm, but let's look at our anomalies here. Let's look at our anomalies. Yeah, a little above average, back towards average. A little above average, pretty dry out there in North Dakota this week. Honestly, boring. But getting into this weekend, what do we think? Yeah, a little bit more of the same. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. You could this low pressure is going. Who knows? Maybe Sunday we try to get this trough digging a little bit farther down a low, and we get some snow in North Dakota there. Actually, just maybe. Colorado, you guys are gonna get pounded with snow in the Rockies over the next 2 weeks leading up to Thanksgiving. I should say in the next 10 days, especially the probably 2 to 3 days up leading up to Thanksgiving. You're gonna get cold right before Thanksgiving as well. At least that's what we're seeing. Joplin, Missouri this winter is definitely probably going to be a little bit of a battleground zone. Kind of that average everything. Maybe some ice storms, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a little bit of a battleground zone this winter. All right, see. I haven't shown you the update on the stratospheric polar vortex. I mean, I kind of talked about it earlier, but wow, this thing has gotten much beefier looking, guys. You go back a few model runs, and this thing, as we got into late November, was falling apart. Look at the amplification of this thing. Look at the latest runs. Look at the amplification of this thing. Holy smokes. This could be a very, very, very disrupted stratospheric polar vortex. Actually, let me look at the teleconnections. Did the AO teleconnection update on this on the weekly? Kind of. I think this is diving down to like -5 here. By the way, if your Arctic oscillation is going south here, just this, we're going to do simple terms. It's going south, burr. If it's going north, bleh. You can't see that. Bleh. Hot, cold. All right? And we see what happens through the first kind of 2 weeks of December. Now, just because this goes north, though, doesn't mean we warm up at the second week of December. Your mean is still about average. So it means that your polar vortex is tightening up, but it doesn't mean that displaced cold air isn't still stuck down in the States. Especially not when you have some of the, oh my gosh, the WPO. This is so hilarious to look at that. That is the craziest thing. With the negative EPO, oh my gosh. Holy smokes. That is crazy. By the way, if you want snow, let me move this up again so we can see this properly. By the way, if you want snow and you're out east, you love what the EPO is showing. You love what the EPO is showing right before Christmas. If we had an Alaskan Ridge set up like this right before Christmas time, that could be a Christmas snowstorm for the Mid-Atlantic and coastal New England. Let's look at our national blend over the next 264 hours. Let's go into winter snowfall. Oof, not aggressive at all because the real snow is being projected to begin right after this. It's only going up to the 27th. 12Z of the GFS is coming out. That'll be interesting. Cincinnati, Ohio. You guys are projected to have below average temperatures and above average rainfall this winter. Or above average precipitation. And if you have below average temperatures, that might be a lot of snow for you guys. 100 years G7, I appreciate you. Gavin NTX. Bro said burr, not burr. Come on, Indianapolis Blizzard this season? It's possible. Definitely, Emmanuel. Do you think a trough out east for a nor'easter or just cold temperatures and a zonal flow? We're thinking a trough out east, probably mid-December for a nor'easter. Early to mid-December is possible. I want a white Christmas, so do I. Yeah, I think you guys are going to get above average snow along the mid-Atlantic coast there, Maryland. Oh, do you need a trough out east for a nor'easter or just cold temps and a zonal flow? You need a trough. If it's going to be a classic nor'easter, which is like a snow hurricane going up the coast, you need an amplified trough. If it's a zonal flow, it's just a clipper system. Those systems move too quick on a zonal. You got a zonal flow and storms are moving just west to east. They're going to be moving fast. The reason your troughs storms move so slow is because they ride this much larger system that's moving slower across the country. I want a blizzard west of Chicago. I'm guessing you live somewhere, I'm going to say west of Chicago. I don't want to freeze again, to be honest. That Texas freeze was insane. Yeah, we'll see, man. This polar vortex, SPV, stratospheric polar vortex, doing some wild stuff right now. Oh, what's going on with our winds up there? SPV winds. No, not SPC. SPV wind forecast. No, SPV. No. 1 second. Stratospheric. How stupid is Google? Come on. You can't be that dumb. Come on. Here we go. Mean zonal wind at 10 HPA. Here we go. That's the good stuff, chat. That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. All right. Where are we at right now? We're at okay, they have towards the 15th. Let's take a look at the progression. Do you guys want to see what a collapsing stratospheric polar vortex looks like? Where were we here? Okay, let's go up here. Okay. All right. Let's go. Okay. Here's November 7th. What's that? About 58 knots? Okay. Here's November 9th. Down to 29 here. So maybe down a little bit slower. 50-ish. Okay. Let's move forward. Oh. Oh, getting a little lower. Oh, getting a little lower down to 25. Oh, getting a little lower down to 22. Our wind speeds around our stratospheric polar vortex are slowing, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we're down around 20. Oh, we're down around 19. Interesting. All right, so we've gone from about here to here over the last week. The closer this gets to zero, the bigger the collapse of our stratospheric polar vortex. If it gets below here, that's a complete wind reversal at the in the stratosphere. Now, they don't have the update from today. Models are showing an even more bullish kind of amplified warming event. So we'll see. I suspect models might actually push this a little bit farther south, past zero. What about South Central Kentucky? You guys are projected to have below average temperatures and above average precipitation this winter. So, you know, I would say your outlook for snow looks pretty good. Looks pretty good this winter. Yeah, 12Z GFS is loading right now. I'll probably post about it off stream though. I got on live a little bit later than I wanted to today, so I got to do some stuff. Maybe go to B-Dubs. Are they even open yet? I'm craving B-Dubs. Why am I craving B-Dubs at 9:45 a.m.? Lauren, KJ, I appreciate you guys. All right, let's do a speed round. I'm just going to speed round answer questions before I hop off here, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to speed round answer all your questions before I hop off. Yo, by the way, I appreciate all the support. I've gained like 2,000 subs on YouTube in the last 28 days, which is absolutely insane. 140,000 views on YouTube in the last 28 days. You guys are wild. The support's been great. I really appreciate it. It makes it easier to wake up at 3:30 every morning and record and edit videos and live stream when you actually see that people get some sort of enjoyment out of your content, you know. All right, let's do speed round. I'm gonna answer as many questions as I can. Southeastern Michigan for December snow? Probably pretty good. New England? Coastal New England's going to get a nor'easter this year. Put it down. Inner New England, I would say actually, I expect a little bit of a warmer trend for north inner New England in the months of January and February. But I think December will be good for you guys. Get all the snow and cold you can up front, up there. Get all the snow and cold. Here, I'll just for fun, we'll look at our European Weekly while I'm talking about this. Yeah, I want to see the new GFS run. We'll just look at this for now. We'll look at our GFS ensemble. Expected snowfall here over the next 2 weeks, but most of this is coming again at the beginning of December. Yeah, this region up here in New England, I think could struggle January and February, but I think it's going to be good in December. Coastal Bend, Texas. Talking about southeastern Texas. I think it's going to be more of a mild winter. But it's a La Nina. Freak things happen in La Nina. You get jets collapsing farther to the south than they should. That's what happened with the big freeze in Texas. You know which one I'm talking about. Giants game day. Yeah, I saw a post the other day that showed all the games that we lost this year, the Giants. I'm a Giants fan first, but I grew up in South Florida, so I do love the Dolphins. And then my wife's a diehard Vikings fan, so I root for the Vikings because happy wife, happy life, right? And I also, like, when I was growing up, I always played them in Madden because I thought they had a really cool logo. Yeah, La Ninas are crazy, so who knows down there in Texas. Southwestern Indiana, you're expected to have above average precipitation and below average temperatures this winter. Typically that would lead to more snow. It doesn't mean you're going to get more snow because you need your storm systems. It's all about the track the storm systems take. When you have a storm, say you have a major snowstorm moving up through here, it's not going to give everyone here snow. It's going to give certain people snow. So just because you have a greater chance doesn't mean it's going to happen. But yes, above average precipitation and below average temperatures in southwestern Indiana is a good sign for your winter if you like snow. Will South Carolina have a cold December? Probably not. Probably not. I think you're going to get at least one big cold burst in December. I think the second half of your winter is going to look better in South Carolina. Cincinnati, Ohio. Above average precipitation, below average temperatures. It's a good snow outlook for you guys. Give a big town like Roanoke. What Roanoke? What is that? West Virginia? Roanoke, Tennessee, Louisiana. Do you think a blockbuster snowstorm from Mid-Atlantic and nor'easter is possible? I've been talking about that since October. I think this is the year for it. Yes, 100%. We have cold anomalies in the subpolar North Atlantic. That sets up a steeper temperature gradient between the waters of the subpolar North Atlantic and the warm North American landmass. That promotes a stronger negative NAO. We also have some interesting stuff happening with the temperature anomalies of the Gulf Stream moving up the North American coast that also promote more of a negative NAO. So yeah, yes, I think we get a big nor'easter this year. I'm slamming the money line. I'd put my mortgage on it. Hopefully I wouldn't lose my house. When is it? Southern Illinois, I think you'll have a... Southern Illinois might be in a battleground zone. It's not. I don't think it's a bad snow outlook for Southern Illinois, but it's a tough one to call. A little bit of a battleground zone. I'm worried about ice for you guys. What website do I use? Weatherbell. I have to pay $70-something or $80 a month for it because I have to have the commercial license to stream with it, but it's cheaper than that if you're not streaming. Much cheaper. I think it's like $15 or something like that. $12 a month. But it has the best information, especially for weather. There's a million things you can look at. I haven't even shown you guys half of it. Do you think Chicago's January will be warmer than average? A lot of times, we're expecting a pretty sustained cold pattern for Chicago through December. It's going to be hard. It's hard for those patterns to sustain multiple months. We've had winters. I forget what winter it was. We've had winters where we've had a negative NAO for like 3 months straight. Almost the entire time. And we've had winters where we've literally... the winter, I think, 2000. It was just nonstop cold for Chicago. Could that happen this year? Yeah, with this setup, but it's tough. So I'd expect a little bit of a warm-up in January. Northwestern Chester, Virginia. I don't think Virginia will do bad. The Euro is expecting about average precipitation in that region. A little bit above average. Your temperature should be pretty cool as well. So I think you guys would be pretty good with snow. A pretty good winter actually this year there. Oh wait, Richmond. Wait, where was? Okay, wait. Any word on White Christmas for? Okay, West Virginia White Christmas. Again, I think the East Coast is going to do well leading up into Christmas, so it's possible. Carolina's getting scammed once again. Listen, if you get some of the biggest nor'easters that we've ever seen, they come down here and they dump snow into Charlotte as well. So if this 1 or 2 nor'easters I'm talking about happening could easily dump snow into Charlotte, and then Charlotte would have a great winter. So we'll have to see. People forget some of these big nor'easters we've had in the past. They don't just drop snow here; they drop snow up and down the entire eastern seaboard like this. So that's the type of snowstorm you want if you want. That's the type of nor'easter you want if you want snow in Charlotte this winter. Minnesota's going to have probably its coldest, well, at least its coldest December, and has the potential to have its coldest December in a decade, I think. But snow-wise, I think all of our snow is going to be supplied mostly by clippers this year. Who knows though? Early December, it looks like we could get a big snowstorm through Minnesota, big like actual blizzard, but. I expect I expect the frequency of snowstorms to Minnesota to be high. I expect the amplification, the strength of the amount of snow, like the actual strength of the snowstorms, to be low. But I think tons of clippers. Minnesota, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, I think we're going to have all above average snow. Not from major snowstorms. Well, at least not Minneapolis. Maybe Milwaukee and Chicago. Not from major snowstorms, but from frequent Alberta clippers. Chicago, Milwaukee, we'll have a better chance of getting a couple big snowstorms. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I was sitting a little bit far away. Could you guys hear me? I know I was back there talking. Is this better? Is this much better for you guys? What's that thing? ASMR? Is this better for you guys? Nebraska getting less snow. Nebraska's a little bit of a battleground zone. I think Eastern Nebraska will do good, though. Indianapolis, Thanksgiving snow. I think you're going to be warm on Thanksgiving, and it's going to cool down right after. That's where your winter pattern sets up for December. Is New Jersey having snow? Not before Thanksgiving. Maybe a week after. Your pattern will be much better then. Guys, I appreciate you being in this live stream. I post videos every single day. I live stream every single morning. There's obviously times when I don't, but it's the majority of the time. Taken one day off in like the last 2 or 3 weeks. So, anyways, mods are awesome. Anyone who followed, I appreciate you guys. I think I'm about to... Hey. 1 second here. Guys, I need like 50 more followers on X to hit 1,000. I know 1,000 is pathetic. in Twitter/X standards, but come on. Help me complete my side quest. Anyways, yeah, you guys are awesome. Again, if you want to join Discord, you want to join the Climate Crew, my weather community, links in the description of every single YouTube video and live. I do this every morning. I post every day. I really appreciate all the support. Everyone have a great Sunday. Go Giants. Yeehaw, ride 'em, cowboy. Appreciate that, Gemini. Go Giants. Screw the Eagles. And no one cares about the Cowboys. All right. Appreciate all you. Peace. Have a great day. Drink responsibly. Wait, I gotta match this little puzzle piece up. See ya.